Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the stove. So let's have a quick look at the stove first, the pieces that you need to know about. It's an Aga stove with a single air vent. So the air vent here is opened and closed. So 3 turns on this, and I'll explain that a little bit more later. It's got a cool touch handle, so no matter how hot the fire has got, you can still open this without using a fire glove. So that's always cool to touch. There's a riddler here, which you pull in and out, which will rotate the centre disc inside the grate to allow the ash to fall down into the ash pan below. The ash pan is here. This should be emptied before we actually start the fire. There is a tool which will be underneath the stove for getting this out if it's hot, but there shouldn't be any need to do that because, of course, you won't be able to discard hot ash directly into the dustbin. There's a metal bin outside in the log store where you can put ash, but I recommend you don't do that until it's cool the next day for safety reasons. So I'll close it up again. On top, we've got an automatic fan which will start when the stove gets to temperature. So this is non-battery powered. This is just automatic. It uses the heat to turn the fan. And then in the centre of the stovepipe, we've got a stove thermostat, thermometer. And we're trying to get the stove exit temperature to be in that white zone at the top here when we're running the fire. So we don't want it too cold, and we don't want it too hot. We want it to be in the middle. So I'll take you through setting up the fire. The first thing to do is note that if the glass has got dirty, which you quite often can if you turn back the amount of air that's being allowed to burn the fire, then you'll find that it might start to soot up. Easiest way to clean this, don't bother getting cleaning materials and special cleaners, it's just not necessary. Just get a piece of paper, scrunch that piece of paper, dampen it. I usually just lick it up. You can dampen it however you want. Dab it in a bit of ash, and then rub that vigorously on the inside of the glass, and that will get rid of any soot that was left over from the last fire, and you'll end up with a nice glowing fire. You'll be able to see it as well. You can then use that piece of paper as your starting paper, and you might note, I'll just bring this a little bit forwards, you see that I've actually left some ash from the previous fire. So there are 3 grills in the front here which come out for cleaning, and I don't leave it above the lower one. But log fires, if you're burning wood, something I didn't mention at the beginning, this is a dual fuel stove. It can burn wood and or coal, and we're in a non-smokeless zone, so we can burn any kind of coal we want here. A wood fire will burn better if it burns on a bed of ash, so I always leave a little bed of ash from the previous fire to help things get going. So put our starting paper in. So this can be any newspaper. Magazines don't work because of the print on them, but newspaper, any kind of light packing paper, like the sort that you get with Amazon, whatever, goes in there first. I tend to put a piece of cardboard in as well, and you're graciously building up the density of the materials that you're putting in. Some kindling, so there's some bits of fence panel here, but whatever you put your hands on. I've got some offcuts of bits of wood. Split in here, so that's a kindling on top. Then I've got some larger pieces of wood. We're not at the log stage yet. Don't put the logs in first, because what will happen is the weight of the logs will just dampen everything down and extinguish the fire as soon as you light it. So you want some smaller pieces of wood in to get the fire going. So there's plenty of air in it as well. No, I'm not compressing it down. Keep it nice and light. The air will get in there and start it off really well. Before we light it, make sure that the air vent on the front is fully open. So this is fully anti-clockwise, and that will allow a maximum amount of air in to get it started. So let's get it started. There's a lighter in the firebox. and just need to light the paper on the bottom. Once that's done, just push the door to. At this stage, don't close the door fully. And we just push it to, so you can't actually shut it from here without lifting the handle up. I'm just going to push it to, and that allows even more air to come in down the left-hand side of the door, really to get the burn going vigorously to start off with. So you'll see that the paper and the cardboard and the kindling burn down very, very quickly. And once that's going, we can start to put on some heavier pieces of wood. So we really want to wait probably a couple of minutes until this is well lit. So you can see it's starting to go a little bit better now, and the wood on the top is starting to burn. So normally I wouldn't be putting wood on until we started to see the stove thermometer start to rise. So normally it'll start to move up quite quickly once it gets going. Once it's up to about 50 degrees in the stove in the exit temperature, then we can start to put some logs on. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to put them on quicker than that. You can see now that the fire is really starting to go very vigorously. So the final stage is to put your logs and or coal. So you can put a mixture on if you want to. Sometimes I put a few pieces of coal in. They burn much slower than logs do, and they keep the fire going. So if you missed it and you walked out of the room for a couple of hours and you come back, the coal will still be glowing and you can get the fire going again. So at this stage, be very, very careful because you'll end up dry wood. You can hear it popping. That can expel lit particles onto the floor. So at this stage you want to be very, very careful. Again, I can touch this handle because it's cold. Put a log in very quickly, and now we can shut the door. Lift the handle up as you close it, push it down, make sure that this is still open, and you don't close this down until the stove temperature starts to rise. So you can see now already that the red marker has started to increase. So as soon as that gets up into the white zone, it'll start to accelerate, and we'll want to shut off the air supply to slow down the burn. So all you do is rotate this. Again, this will stay cold, but the rest of the door will be hot. So take great care. The top will be hot, the door will be hot. Handles and the air vents stay cool to touch, so you don't need the fire glove to touch these. So once this temperature has risen and it's in the white zone, I normally turn this 1.5 turns, and that will set the air to the right amount of flow. So that's it. That's how you use the fire, and this will start to spin as soon as it gets up to temperature.